Hey everybody, welcome to the stream. Today we are going to be picking up where we left off yesterday. And so yesterday we actually kind of started moving things around a little bit and consolidating all of our system code into a systems manager. And where we wound up is, let me just for good measure build this and run. What we wound up with yesterday is, as you can see, a whole bunch of console spam saying that the window size is basically less than 1. But when we resize, everything sort of all of a sudden works. And so that got me to thinking that there's probably a couple different things going on here. So let me close this first off. I think what the actual issue here is we've been moving all of our systems sort of into this systems manager initialize. And we had this code, this event registration, happening immediately after we were creating our event system. And I think the problem is that now we have moved on from this and we're actually creating the platform system, and the platform system hooks into the OS and all that, of course, and it is actually triggering a resize, which should be calling this, and it is now not calling that because it hasn't actually been registered yet, because it's happening here and not here. So I suspect that's what's happening. So this then raises the issue of how do we then inject some sort of code like this at the right time for that to get called and still have proper scope on all of this. And so to that, I'm going to institute a bit of a hack, but I think in this case I'm all right with it. So I'm basically going to try something where we create a new engine function that contains these, that is only called right immediately after the event system is stood up. And then we can call that in line within our systems manager initialize, because it is aware of the order of the systems being stood up and the requirements of those things. And I think by doing that, we should be able to fix this problem that we have here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into our engine H, and I'm going to create a new return type void engine, and then we're going to call this on event system initialized. Right, wow. Did I spell that right? Initialized, yes, okay. And this is basically going to not be exposed to, so basically we should never use this outside sort of the core engine library itself. And let's see, let's close out some of these other things that we don't need here. So we have our engine C here. We'll go ahead and place this after engine run because it's only going to be called once, so it doesn't really need to be towards the top. We'll go ahead and do that here. And we will go ahead and also move these events, or these event registrations rather, right here to this guy. Right? And we may wind up adding stuff to this in the future, but for now this is what I'm going to go with. I'm also going to go into the event system itself, actually, now that I think about it. Because there's two ways we could do this. We could put it right here, but the more I think about it, the more it might also be nice to sort of roll these into a loop at some point. And so if I do that, I'm not going to be able to do that without some sort of weird if check in the middle. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to put it in event system initialize. Because this really is all that needs to be stood up in order for us to be able to actually register events. So right before we return true, I'm going to go ahead and make a call to engine on event system initialize. Now we don't have engine included here, so we're going to need to include core engine, right? And like I said, that's a bit of a hack, but we will notify the engine that the event system is ready for use. Okay. And that really should solve our problems, I believe. So I'm going to go back up here, and I'm going to remove this code because I'm fairly confident this is going to work. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and build. And I just realized my microphone is like really far away from me, so I don't know if you guys are going to be able to hear me or not, hopefully. So I've gone ahead and built, and we'll run. And hey, no console errors, and we don't have to resize in order to see our viewport anymore. So it looks like we have fixed that issue, which is awesome. All right, I think probably the next thing that we're going to do is just keep going forward with moving in all of our systems over to our new systems manager. There is one more thing that I wanted to bring up, though, that we are going to have to change. We're eventually going to hit a bit of a wall with this. So we have our known types, right, our known systems. But these need to be done in two phases. These need to be initialized in two phases. And that is because we have some application config that the engine actually needs to know about that gets set up within the application's boot process. And so in order to be able to have access to that information, we actually have to initialize some of these things after the game instance boot here. So for example, excuse me. So for example, let's see, the font system has configuration that it uses directly from that. The render view system also has information that is configured within the application. So we are going to have to be somewhat careful on what we move, and we're going to basically have to split this up into two phases. So with that in mind, what we're going to do is in the internal code here, we have register known systems. We're going to rename that to pre-boot, right? Just to make it obvious as to where that's actually happening in code. And then we're going to go ahead and have another call here, which is going to be post-boot. Right, and we'll go ahead and go to the top and declare that up here. And that needs to be static. All right, and so for our engine's systems manager initialize, we are going to go ahead and perform the pre-boot. But then we're also going to have another B8 systems manager post boot initialize. And I'm not completely sold on this naming scheme yet, so if you guys think of a better way that I could name this, feel free to speak up. So basically all this is going to do is just return our internal register known systems post boot, passing along the state and the app config. Okay. And now we have that in two separate steps. So I'll go ahead and expose this in the header file as well, so that we have that. And while we're still thinking about this fresh in our mind, I'm actually going to go down here into, oops, not event, let me close that, engine.c, and we're going to look for the boot. which is right around here somewhere. Get past it. Where was it? There it is. So we're going to go ahead and call this here. So we'll say the address of engine state system manager state. And we'll go ahead and say, what was it? The game instance application config? Is that already a pointer? I forget. No. So we need the address of that. All right. And actually we need to check that. That's going to be kfatal post boot system manager initialization failed. And we'll return false. All right. And now that's hooked up. So now all we have to do is worry about how we actually move everything around here, right? We should be pretty good to go. So one last thing, probably should put a return true down here, just so that that doesn't bleat when we go to compile it. And we'll go back to moving systems. So the next thing I guess we'll do is the resource system. So let's go ahead and cut that. We'll come over here to Systems Manager, and we're still going to do this in the sort of the pre-boot version of this. I can get rid of that for now. So right below platform, we will have our resource system. And of course, this means that we also need to include I think this one's actually in systems. Resource system. Okay. Let's see. So we've got that. And so just going to copy pasta this down here. This is going to be the resource system. This is going to be resource. And then we're going to say resource system initialize, which does that actually take a config? Yes, it does, but it's not a pointer. So we're going to have to adjust that. And then we have resource system shutdown. I don't believe that has an update, so we should be good on that. However, we do need the address of the resource system config. All right. And then the application should probably configure this. All right, so we may wind up moving that. Okay, so we've got this. We don't need any of this stuff anymore. That was just sort of in there to remind us what we're doing. Let's go ahead and close that out to the left there. All right, so we need to modify our resource system initialize. So we'll start with the header file. So in this case, we're just going to take a pointer to that. And then in the resource system C, we'll also take a pointer to that. And then we'll just change all of these to use the pointer syntax. Right, and this is because the interface code that we have requires a void pointer for this. So anything that we use here has obviously got to be a pointer type for easy type conversion, right? We are storing off a copy of the config, so we need to dereference this here to keep that. Change this to our pointer syntax. And one more time. And I think that is actually all we need to do. So in our engine, we can go ahead and remove the resource system memory requirement for that. Also, our platform system state doesn't look like we removed that either, so we can get rid of that, which means we can come down here. We can get rid of our resource system shutdown because that's automatically going to be handled in our systems manager. Speaking of which, we need to add that guy here. So we'll go ahead and, as we've done before, we'll manually do this for now. We'll change this to something a little bit more exact later. So call this system type resource, and we'll just do that. Just make sure this builds. Does not. What did we do here? Must use struct tag to refer to type application config. What? Application config. Wait a minute. I'm looking at the wrong line here. Oh, okay. Because this doesn't apparently. Why does that matter? Oh, because it's in the header file and we forward declared it. Right. Okay. So that's one issue. The second issue is here. Incompatible types. Oh, is this a void return? No, it is Boolean. Oh. I guess the compiler can't just figure that out, right? So we're going to have to do a cold cast in here. So we'll call this typed config. Change this to a void pointer. And then equals config, right? So we'll do this. Swap this out anywhere in here. So we have our typed config. One more, I think. Right, and then also we'll need to go to the header file and do that. That's kind of annoying. I'm not a huge fan of that. But I think that's what it needs. All right, so as we've done before, we'll go ahead and run just to make sure that we haven't broken anything. When you're moving around large sections of code like this, or parts that call into large sections of code, you generally want to do this. So, all right, this looks good. All right, so that is the resource system. I wonder if I wonder if I can remove this. Yes, I can. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and remove that include. We don't need it. And I'm going to try and remove these out of here as I go. Because unless we really need them in here, I don't want them to be in here. All right. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look at the next one. So the next one in line is our shader system. The shader system can go in now. That should be fine. So I'll go over to the systems manager. And again, we're just going to paste this in here for now. And we'll go ahead and swap out the code later on because things like this should really be configured by the application, but we haven't exposed that stuff to our application config yet, so I'm just doing it here. So this whole section down here is going to look like this instead. It's going to be the shader system, system type shader, shader system initialize, shader system shutdown. Do we not have a shutdown for that? I thought we did. Yeah, we do. Oh, it's probably because I don't have the include there, so it's just not picking it up. Let's go ahead and add that. So include systems shader system. All right. The initialize returns Boolean, takes a non-pointer config, so that is no good. This is also going to take the address of the shader system config. Right, so we have that. So let's go ahead and modify that. So here, this is going to be a void pointer. Then we'll have that called typed config. And then we'll set it equal to, oops, cold cast of config. And then we'll obviously have to go to the shader system H and change it here as well. So it's going to be a void pointer. And then we'll just throw the type in the comment there so it's obvious as to what should be used. And anywhere that was using config is now going to have to use typed config arrow. Right. So we've got that. This is storing a non-pointer version of it, so we just need to dereference typed config there. Really, this is just going to be all conversions to the arrow syntax. So I think that is good. All right, so in our systems manager, now we have the shader. Yeah, that should be good. The engine, we should be able to come in here and let's try commenting that out. Get rid of the state, which also means we need to come down here. Get rid of the shutdown for that. Which does remind me, we need to go back here to the systems manager and also add an entry for the shutdown here. Shader. Okay, let's go ahead and build. All right, looks like we're good so far. And it looks like we're working, so we're good on that. Whoops, maybe not. All right, so we've got some sort of issue here. Let's see. So we're destroying a device, but we don't have pipelines, so the shaders aren't getting destroyed. What? State pointer was no. What? State pointer. System type shader. So we shut down this. Where is that being done in the engine? Oh. So we're shutting down. Oh, I see. So technically, this should really be moved to the top. I'm thinking. And while I'm thinking about it, these ought to be destroyed in the opposite order that they are created. Right, so we have console kvar event. Yeah, so these are backwards, actually. So that's an interesting one. All right, so we need to add new entries to the top. That should do it. Let me stop this. Okay, so we shut this down. Actually, maybe that has to be shut down before the renderer, which is here. Arguably, some of these other things might need to be shut down first. We may have to live with that for a minute until we can actually let's see. Yeah, it's not going to like that. Okay. So, all right. So what I'm going to do is we had the shader system shut down right before the renderer system shut down. And then after that, we had the... All right, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to actually copy... I'm going to copy all of this. Let's go here. And I'm going to go into the Systems Manager. And put a block comment here, just so that I have eyeballs on what the destruction order was. And then in between that was the shader system shutdown. So copy deleted lines. That was just before the renderer. Just so that I don't destroy these things out of order, because that is what is causing our problem now. So basically, when we shut these systems down, the order we shut them down does indeed matter. And so technically these things actually need to be at the top. Some of these things are actually out of order, so I'm probably going to have to shuffle this around a bit. So let's do this. And we'll take this one here and put it here. Okay. Now it's at least kind of where it belongs. So I think the next thing we're going to move is probably the render system. That I think makes the most sense. So render system. I think that's the next in line anyways. So, yep, here's the renderer. So before the renderer, we had just these events. So we should be good to actually go ahead and do this. See, we've got a few things in here though. Renderer is multi-threaded. The job system is going to need to know about that, I believe. Yes. Okay, so we'll go ahead and cut this out of here. Go to Systems Manager, and right in here, we will do the initialization for the renderer system. So obviously, that means that we are going to need the include renderer front end. And that'll give us our system initialize and things of that nature. So this is taking the application name instead of a config. Am I good with that? What else? Is the application name even used in here? I think it actually is when we set up the... Yeah, so we do pass that along. All right, I'll stick with it for now. I don't love it though. All right, let's see. So I really should create a configuration object for this, as much as I really don't want to. Yep, as much as I really don't want to, I'm going to. All right, so type def struct renderer system config. All right, this is going to take a character pointer, application name. We're going to change this to be a void pointer config. This is going to be config. The configuration for the renderer, right? Because we're probably going to need to configure more stuff. So we don't want to really just make an assumption that the only thing we're going to pass there is a string. So we have void config, and then we're going to have our cold cast here, typed config equals cold cast from config. And then we just use the application name there. And now it meets our interface as well. And I think shutdown does already as well. So we're good there. Okay, so all we need to do then is, whoops, I need this. Slam the type in here real quick in the comment. So say renderer sys config. And then we'll say config application name equals app config, oops, name. Okay, so now we have that. We can then get rid of all of this rubbish. And we can basically copy pasta this guy. And we can say renderer. Oops. Case system type. What, did I miss one? It would seem I have. How did I miss renderer? What a dingus. Okay, kind of need that. Renderer system initialize. Renderer system shutdown. We don't have an update for this, I believe. We have an on-resized. We have a draw frame, but that's explicitly called. So no, I'm going to say for right now this system does not have an update. All right, so we passed the address of the renderer system configuration. Renderer system, okay. So that should be good. And then down here, when we go to shut down, we need renderer. Right. Yeah, and that needs to be shut down after shader system. Right, so we can get rid of this. I don't think the initialization order is correct though. So we have we have the shader system. I guess the initialization of this doesn't actually create any resources though. So we're probably fine. This is mostly just creating the hash table and stuff. So that's actually fine. I was thinking the shader system doesn't really make sense to create it before the renderer system. But I guess it kind of is okay because we're not actually creating or utilizing any renderer resources yet. So yeah, I think that's all we need to do there. Let's go back to engine.c. We do need to leave the render front end in here. So that's a system, but it's also something we need to use from the engine. So that's going to be fine to leave there. We do need to get rid of this state, however, which means that we'll also have to come down here and get rid of the shutdown. All right, and I think we should be good. Right? So we're running. Can't guarantee it's going to shut down correctly. It's not. But that's okay. We'll figure that out because we have a couple of systems here that are still using resources sort of out of order. So I kind of expected there to be some issues around that. All right, so let's close out some of these other systems here because we don't need all of those things active at once. And we'll go back to our engine and we'll move over the next thing, which is going to be the job system, which is basically all this code right here. Yeah, that's all of this. So this is kind of a lot to move, but I think I'm okay with moving that for right now. So the job system is here. That means we obviously need to say include systems job system. Right. Render multi-threaded. I thought we copied that over as well. Did we not? Must have missed it somewhere. Ah, it's up here. This was done. This was originally done post boot. I think I'm going to change that. I think I'm going to do it pre-boot because there's not really a reason not to stand the job system up as far as I'm aware. So anything that we can do and get stood up before we boot the actual application, I think is going to be a good thing. All right, so we have that. Let's go ahead and also remove the state for the job system. And we'll remove the shutdown for it. And that's towards the end there. So we can go down here. And I guess we could really do this one anywhere. It doesn't really matter all that much. I'll go ahead and plop it right here. All right. Okay. So that's the shutdown for that. Let's just build this real quick. Oh. I don't think I actually converted this code over. No, I did not. So we need to come up here, grab the register. And again, I'm just going to copy pasta. We are going to be making this much more robust, I promise. The job system initialize does not take a configuration. It takes a U8 and an array of type masks. Poop. So we're going to have to go and change the interface for that. So let's go to the H file and we'll do a little refactoring. So we're going to say type def struct. We're going to call this job system config. Okay, and this is going to take in these properties. So we've got that. Oh, you know what? I don't think I can do that though. Right, so this actually needs to be pointer config, and actually that's not even right. That needs to be void. And we'll say param config pointer to the configuration of this system. And we'll slam the type in here as well. There we go. Okay. And then we might as well, since we actually have these comments, might as well put them in here, right? Something like that. Right. So we've got that one, and then we have this one. So we've got that, and here we go. All right, so now that matches. And then we have, let's see, job system. Just need to change this to avoid pointer config, which means we need to cold cast. We'll call this typed config. Right, we'll just cold cast this config object to that. We will go down here and say type config job thread count, type masks. I don't think there was a whole lot that had to be updated. Has no field thread. I think it's just thread count. Is it not? Max job thread count. Okay, so we have that. So the job system initialize is now meeting the interface as expected. Did I not already do? Guess not. So we'll register that. Job system initialize. Job system shutdown. And I do believe this actually has an update. Process queue. Job system update. It does have an update. So I believe this is actually called explicitly in our engine.c. Where are we calling our systems manager update? Are we calling this anywhere? No, we are not. So, what I'm going to do is in engine, where we are calling job system update. I'm actually going to replace that with systems manager update. And this is going to take the engine state, system manager state. We need the address of that. And then we're going to take the delta time. So don't we have that here? Delta. Sure. So we'll do that. We will get rid of this. Update systems. Okay. So instead of a 0, we'll say job system update, because we actually do have something for that this time, which I think we actually need to fill that out, but we'll tackle that here in a second. So we'll change this to job system. Okay. So let's see. Oh, we need to set up our job system config, because we need that. Job sys config. 0 everything else. And then we'll set the max thread count to thread count. And we'll set the type masks to job thread types. I don't know that that's going to work. I may have to treat that as a pointer instead. And then obviously we need the address of that. So we have that. So I should be able to get rid of that. Let's build. Yeah, I thought so. I thought it was going to bleat about that. So this needs to be just a pointer. Yeah, and that's going to max that. That's going to match that count anyways, so that's totally fine. All right, and what did I do? Oh, put the asterisk at the wrong spot. Whoopsie. Okay. Incompatible. Oh, right. Okay. So this is actually not going to meet our standards for the update call. So what we need from that is right here. Right. So our job system, the H file. In this case, we just need the job system update to take in the state and delta time. To meet the interface, those actually are not used, although they will be here because this is going to help us with our state pointer stuff. So this is actually really good. This is going to help us with that when we get ready to do that step. So let's go ahead and build. Looks like we have one more thing here. That's a void. I think it wants a B8, doesn't it? Pretty sure it does. Needs to be a Boolean, so we will, I guess we'll return false here. Otherwise, down here we'll return true. And then we'd go here and return a B8 here. Dang it. Okay. In theory, we're good. The only other thing I already have this. So let's go ahead and run. Let's see. So, okay. So something is definitely not right with the job system. So we have jobs queued, but they are never getting kicked off. As we can see here, we have all these textures that are not loaded. So none of those jobs are executing. So that's neat. Even loading models, yeah, none of that works. All right. So, oh, right, because we have this other thing that we did not hook up yet. So, if you recall, I said I was going to have to come back and do this. We have the systems manager update. We actually need to iterate all of the systems in here. So, we have states, systems. What was the max on this, I think? It was... Systems manager state. This. So actually we could just say for u32i equals 0, I is less than that plus I. And then we can say, whoops, I forgot a closing thing there. So we can say state systems sub I if there's an update, right? So we can say, in fact, I'm going to say, instead of this, let's just grab the system itself, which is just going to be a K system pointer. I'm just going to call this S equals the address of state systems I, and then I can say if S update, then S update, and S state, and pass through delta time. Right? And the update wants a bool, I believe. Yes. So the real question is here, if we have an update that fails on a system, do we want to clobber the entire thing, or do we want to keep running? Just bleat about it and keep running. And I'm going to go with, for now, if we fail here, then we are going to say we have an error. System update failed for type. And we're going to just treat this as an int. And then we'll say S. Actually, we don't even have type there, do we? Well, it's the index. The type is the index, actually, so that's fine. Right. So if we do have a failure there, we'll just go ahead and bleat about that. But we're going to continue the application because we don't want to crash necessarily. So this should fix our issue. And it does. So we see that all of our jobs work again. We can load the scene, and all of those jobs are working. So our job system is moved. We still have some foo-bars here with the renderer, but that's because we have not moved everything yet. While we're in here, let me see if I could just remove this include. I'm pretty sure I can, yes. So let's get rid of that. So these are the only systems we have left, so not that much. Hopefully some of these other later systems fit our scheme a little bit better here. So that is actually all of the pre-boot initialization that can happen. So now we're going to go into post-boot initialization. And here we are going to have the texture system, the font system, camera system, render views, material, geometry, and then we're done. So I guess we'll move the texture system next. So we'll go into Systems Manager, and we will go into the post boot, slam that there for a second, and I'm going to copy this guy so that we have a template to sort of work from here. And we're going to say the system type is texture. Texture system initialize. Texture system, whoops, you know what? We don't have the include for that. All right. Texture system shut down. And I don't remember if texture system actually has, I don't think it has an update. I think it's all purely state driven. Yeah. Okay. So we do not have an update. Let's see, initialize takes a non-pointer configuration type, so we got to fix that. So this is going to be a void pointer config. Then we're going to have our typed config equals cold cast of this config. All right. So we just got a few of these things to swap out in here. Oops, not the address of. We need to dereference typed config there. And I think that is it. Okay. The texture system H just needs to be converted to void pointer config. Configuration, we'll slam the type in here. Comment. It already returns a B8, so we're good on that front as well. And then the texture system config. We can move down here, get rid of all this. Okay, and we're going to pass the address of the texture system config. Up here, we will have the shutdown. So we'll say texture. Okay. So let's go ahead and build that just to make sure it builds. We are going to have to go to our state object here and remove the texture system state. And come down here and remove the shutdown for that. We might actually be able to get away with removing this include from here too. Yep. So let's get rid of that. And let's go ahead and run. Thank you for the lurk, Norland. Appreciate it. Appreciate the support on that. Okay, our texture system works. So that is that. So with that, I'm guessing the material system is going to be next. Nope. Font system is next. So we have our app configuration, font config. We're already taking. Ooh, good. I think this actually takes a pointer for its config, so that's going to be relatively easy. to fix. So we'll go here to Systems Manager, Font System. We will do this, change this to font. We have font system initialize, font system shutdown. I don't think we have an update on that. Pretty sure we don't. No, this is just loading fonts and stuff. Okay. And then we need the app config, font config, the address of that, and font system. This should also say texture system. All right, that should be all we need for that. Font system is pretty straightforward because that's handled by the application for the most part. So we'll try and keep with the opposite order thing here. So the font, we'll take this out of here, take this out of here. That was indicating that there's actually some stuff in between it. So we may have to do it this way. Okay. So back in the engine, we need to remove the font system memory requirement. These things are all kinds of out of order up here. And the shutdown call. All right, we have some sort of mismatch here. Incompatible function pointer types. Oh, right, because it's actually using, instead of a void, you gotta cold cast this, which is kind of annoying, but not the end of the world. Let's see. I think that's it there. The only other thing is here. It's got to be a void pointer. Okay. So that's looking pretty good. Did we actually add the... We did not add the... Oh, yes, we did. Right there. Okay. Let's go ahead and run. And it looks like our fonts are all still doing the thing. All right. I'm just ignoring this error for now because I have a feeling it's going to go away once we actually shut things down in the right order. All right. So that is that. Only a few more left to go. So let's see what we have. So it looks like just the render view, material, geometry, and camera systems. So let's see, where are we here? So camera system is next. All right, so we'll go to Systems Manager, and we'll add our include. Did I not include the font system in here somehow? That must be included through something else then. That's interesting. Okay. I knew how to find it, so I guess I'm not going to worry about it. Okay, so... stop it. So the post-boot... Slam the camera system in here. And the camera system initialized does not take a pointer type. So we're going to have to, once again, do that. I really wish I had done this earlier end the project. It would have saved me all this work. But this is definitely going to be worth it, because now everything will be basically the same kind of format for everything. You know, it'll be consistent. All right. Oops, I already had the arrow there. All right, are we done there? We're done there. System.h. And here, this needs to be a void pointer. Oops, there. So this is the camera system initialize. The system type is going to be camera. Camera system shutdown. And then we need just the address of the camera system config. And we can go ahead and nuke all of this. And that should be it for the camera system, other than coming in here. And wow, we were never actually shutting that down. So that's fine. That seems fine. Okay. All right. Oh, I need to actually go into engine, go up here to the state. Actually, before I do that, well, no, I can get rid of the state. I can do that first. Camera system. Yeah, we were never calling shutdown in here, so that's yet another one that we've missed. All right. All right, and obviously the camera system is working because we can move around. Okie dokie. This is frame buffers and all that kind of stuff. That's interesting. Samplers. Oh, because we're not destroying the textures in the right order. Okay. Actually, it's not textures. It's going to be the materials probably is what's going to hold that. Render passes, that's the render view system. Okay, so we're getting there. I feel like this list is actually shortening, believe it or not. So let's close out some of these systems here, so we don't need all those things open. Okay, so the next piece of this, actually let's just check our includes here. Do we need that? We don't. Okay, goodbye. I don't even know if we need that. Do we need the font system? I don't think we do. Nope. Goodbye. So it looks like we just have these systems left to do. Yeah, we only have 3 here, so the list is really short right now. Okay. So this is the render view config. So we initialize the system and then create the views. And this is done before the material system, and I feel like there was a reason for that. So what I'm going to do for now, since we have the app config passed over to that systems manager, I'm going to hold on to that. And we're just going to take this whole thing and move it over for now. So we have include systems render view system. And we're just going to copy pasta this guy right after the config. And our initialize does not take a pointer type, so we're going to have to fix that. Cold cast. All right. I think that's it for that. So render view system.h. We need to initialize. Change that to a void pointer. Slam the type in the comment. That looks correct. I don't think this has an update. No. Okay. So render view system initialize. Render view system shutdown. We need to pass the address of the render view system config. View system. This can all go away. All right. This is just going to be app config. Render views. This is going to be app config. Render views. Okay. So that should be all that's required there. So we should be able to come up here to this, remove the state, and come down here and remove the shutdown call. Go back to the systems manager. Put the shutdown in the right spot. Render view. Okay. Get that out of there. So now that we only have, those couple things left there. Geometry and material system shutdown. So let's go ahead and build this. Let's see. D-array length is invalid. Oh, okay. I need D-array apparently. Include containers D-array. Okay. Let's go ahead and run. And all of our views are very obviously still working. So we can see here that our hover still works. So we know that view is working as well. Yeah, so we're good as far as that's concerned. Really? State systems. Texture, so that's 10. Shut down. What is it bleating about? I don't know. Why are you complaining? Render view. Well, maybe this is the issue. Render view. Oh, yeah. Oh, you know what? I'll bet it's because I didn't change. Yep. I'll bet it's because I didn't change this right here. That's still camera. Ooh, that could be kind of nasty. I'm surprised that actually didn't cause more headaches, to be completely honest. All right, so yeah, our views are still working. Shut down. Okay, we're getting a different error now, but again, I'm not surprised because we haven't moved everything yet. So, did we remove the state? I think we did. Yes. Render view system. Can I remove that? Yep. Okay. So we have material system and geometry system left. There's the only two things left to move. So material system is next, according to this. So let's go to that. And come down here. And I'll go ahead and grab this guy. Right. Obviously need our include systems material system. And we're looking for time. So we have like a maximum of like 20 more minutes I want to spend on stream tonight, I think. Just because I'm kind of a little bit tired today and I don't want to really extend past 11 my time. Okay, so that does not use a pointer type, so I'm going to have to change that to a big pointer, cold cast, typed config equals config. Okay. Times config. Okay. I'll tell you what, guys, like this this refactoring work sometimes it can be kind of satisfying. Other times it's just kind of a grind. And this feels a little bit like a grind. All right, so this needs to be a void pointer. We'll type in there. This returns a B8, so it should be fine otherwise. Okay, material system initialize, material system shut down. Should also be that, okay. I do not believe there's any sort of update. Nope. So we don't have that. We just need the address of the material system config. And now we can nuke that. Come back to our engine. Come all the way up. I believe we can remove this. That's going to allow us to remove this. And while we're here, let's see. Can we remove this? I think we can. Well, if I use the right operator here. Okay, so we're good on that. All right, so let's, oh, you know what? I don't think I put this in the shutdown, no. I did not. So I'm going to put this down here and say material. Get rid of this in the comment. So now the only one left is the geometry system. And we're going to go ahead and run. And it looks like we are good to go on that. Run. All right, I still don't know why it's doing that, but I'm not going to worry about it just yet. Okay, so engine. Last thing we need to do is get rid of this geometry system out of here. So I'm going to snip this out of here. And come down here and snag it down here at the bottom. Snip a copy of this. Slam that there. Ooh. I didn't update that. That needs to be material, and this needs to be geometry. Gotta watch those copy pastas. So So geometry system initialized. Oh, we don't have that imported yet. Include systems geometry system. Crap. Not a pointer type. It's gonna get me to the last one. Okay. Which means that we need typed config, and we're gonna have to convert all these properties. Or all these references, rather. Dereference that guy. Oh, that wasn't too bad for this one. Geometry system. Needs to be a void pointer. Reference the type in the comments. Okay. And then we have geometry system shutdown. We're not going to have an update for that. We're going to take the address of the geometry system config. Geometry system, which means I didn't update this either. Material system. And I should be able to get rid of this. All right. So we have that back in the engine. The state, get rid of that. Get rid of this. All right, so now we have this. We should say unregister from events, because we're not shutting down the system there. We do have the memory system shut down here. That I will probably move in a separate pass. I don't know, we'll see how complicated that is to actually remove. So let's go ahead and build this. And we should be able to also remove this. Okay. And in the systems manager, I should also go in here and finally do this. Geometry. Okay. Now I don't think the shutdown sequence on this is 100% correct, so we'll have to see where we land on that. But it does look like all of this works as expected, so that's good. Oh, what do you know? It is actually correct. So once we actually got everything ported over to here, correct, it just worked right out of the box. I didn't even have to actually do anything, which is always really nice when that happens. So I guess that's really the meat and potatoes of all of this stuff moving around, right? Trying to think if there's anything I wanted to hit in the last 5 minutes or so here. I don't think so, though. I think we actually have covered everything that I want to cover in this feature, which is awesome. Oh, the systems allocator. We don't need that guy anymore. Yeah, he's not even used, so we can actually get rid of that. So we can get rid of that to-do as well. And so our engine state suddenly is very, very, very simple compared to what it was before. I think we can also get rid of this linear allocator. Yep, we don't need that anymore either. I think we still need all this other stuff though, which is fine. I'm not mad at that. So our memory system initialization has to happen there. But if I recall correctly, that is the only system when we register it that is allowed to have no initialization call. So what is the memory shutdown? Memory system shutdown. So this really just needs a void pointer state. Right. Okay, memory. Oops. Okay, memory.h. So let's go ahead and let's actually do this as well. These don't need to be exported. Not sure where they are. Everything else here, yes, but not those two. Okay, and I'm okay with leaving this as it is and just not passing it. Okay, so in engine, we have this, which I'm going to get rid of because we're going to handle that in Systems Manager Shutdown. So that is going to be the last thing that we actually shut down. So I'll come in here, case system type, memory, and shut that down. Which at that point should be fine. So register node systems. Yeah, I guess. So we'll put memory in here very first, pre-boot. The initialize is going to be 0. This is the only type we're going to allow that for. And then memory system. Crap, I don't have that, do I? Include core K memory. Wow, that should be core engine .h. I don't know how that worked otherwise, but okay. Shut down, right? So that should just work. Okay. Seems to have worked. So yeah, we're good here. Let's escape. And yep. So we actually have our memory system included in there as well. Its path is a little bit different than all the other systems that we have. I suppose we could probably make this a little bit different, but the problem is like we need these allocations to happen ahead of time, and those must happen using the memory system's underlying allocator. So there's not really a way around sort of doing it this way for that. So I'm okay with leaving it that way for now. I don't see any need to change it just for that one system because it is so core to everything that's happening here. So, all right. I'm pretty satisfied with that. That is a decent refactoring session, actually. So let's do a git status here. So we have this feature systems manager branch that we've been working on. We've changed a crap ton of files. So yeah, let's do git add, git commit, and we'll call this systems manager code complete. Right, and we'll get to push that. If I can type my password correctly. And now I can go to GitHub. I'll just pull this down. And we see here that it has current changes or recent changes. So we've changed 40 files through 2 commits, the work in progress one from yesterday, and then this one. I'm not going to review every single one of this because you guys just literally watched me do all of it. But if you guys wanted all of that, all those changes are here in this commit that we're about to do. So I'm going to create a pull request to go into the main branch. And the reason I'm doing it this way is just because we have multiple commits that are being done under a single feature. And in this case, it just makes it a little bit cleaner because I can do a squash and merge, which will take these two commits and sort of put them into a single commit, and then I can delete the branch, right? And so the code is pushed. So for those of you who are watching live, this code is out there and available. And yeah, I think that is that's where we're going to end for tonight. I do want to have a quick look because I could have swore I had a ticket, like an issue opened up for that, but maybe not. Nope, I guess not. All right. One other thing that I do want to cover is I did mention that we are going to have to change all these static state pointers to use the state. We're going to have to implement that, but that will be a lot easier now that we've done all of this work because there's a standard creation and teardown phase for all of the systems, and the way that those the state objects are passed around is now standard, and so that should be a lot easier to actually handle for a lot of those things. Some of the systems that have other sort of static calls externally might be a little bit more complicated, but I've got some ideas on how we're going to go ahead and work through those things as well. But yeah, I think for tonight, that's where I'm going to go ahead and end the stream. So for those of you who tuned in, thank you so much for watching and being here. I really appreciate your support. And for those of you who are catching this on YouTube, just don't forget to, if you guys have any questions, comments, drop them in the comments below, and toss me a like. A little thumbs up there helps me a long way. And if you haven't already, follow me on my Twitch channel and subscribe on my YouTube. And I will see you guys next time.